version 3.0 combo die, which is plain pancake die cutter and etched impression plate. I'm using 24 gauge dead soft copper for this one, and slightly oversized piece of copper. If you want to be real efficient, you can cut your pieces more accurately and mark your plate here. Since I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need more than one pressing here, I'm gonna go ahead and tape the piece down, keep it lined up, because the embossing will cause the piece to bow, and it's not always easy to re-register it for your subsequent pressings. So I'm using 1/16 inch 95A urethane. I'm already aiming this for the top end of the wolf head here, because I know I'm going to use more than one pressing. And if you have I could have used a piece of urethane to cover the whole thing and then just move the pusher around. That works fine too. Sometimes it will work better to start out this way and then just use a smaller piece exactly where you want it. That works to get more detail when you're having trouble getting the details. Okay, so for trimming these, see how that bowed? Now you want to flatten it out a little to go in the die. You will probably need to trim the piece so that the excess metal doesn't load past the top set of holes here. Now if your shears leave a lip, you got to make sure that lip is facing up and not down. So I'm going to flip it over like this. And that way it'll help keep the metal from catching when you're trying to load it in there. So the die opens the normal way, obviously, but you flip it over so that you can see the design through the window. And take a little time to load it in there just right. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if you go over into the design a little bit. It won't hurt anything. It won't hurt the die. Now, I found out that at first I thought that you would need to put this on a soft material so that to keep the design from smashing, but this kind of embossing actually gives a lot of strength to the metal, and it doesn't really get mashed if you were to press it all by itself. But it's a good idea to use something to protect the surface a little bit. I'm going to use this real thin, dense cardboard. It's maybe a 32nd of an inch thick. I would lean away from using the same urethane that I pressed it with, because that gives the die, it allows the die to flex, which is not good long term. So something rigid, or maybe something that's very, very compressible like this craft foam. It will give, it'll compress before it lets the die flex, whereas the urethane will allow the die to flex. But anyway, thin and dense cardboard here is what we're going to use. And I even tried a couple of them with nothing at all, and you get barely perceptibly flattened out some of the design. And this will too allow it to flatten out just barely perceptibly, which is actually totally okay in my opinion, probably on almost all of these. So there you have it.